RP Show continues on this Monday, a brand new week. Hope you all are doing just fine. Let's bring in the Snowman now. I'm just interested to know his take on his 49ers on Sunday. I'm trying to get the exact stats, but my internet's going wonky. What I do know is Josh Jacobs, 106 yards for Green Bay, Snowman, in a 38-10 rout of your 49ers at Lambeau. Did you watch the game? I'm sure you did.
No, I didn't, because when I got the word that Brock Purdy would be out and Nick Bosa would be out, I felt an embarrassment coming, and what proved it was the first drive of the game when Green Bay was able to march right down the field and stick it in the end zone. I knew it was going to be a long day. I knew it after that first drive.
And it's ended up being that. What a story Green Bay has been this year, but Snowman with us from Snowman Media in Indiana. He is a lifelong 49ers fan, and I think there's a lot of those lifelong 49ers fans. I saw it at Super Bowl last year. It just feels like from the jump, they're not the same San Fran team that was in Vegas last year at the Super Bowl. Snowman, what do you see with the 49ers?
We're beat up. We're beat up bad. When you lose Dre Greenlaw, a player the caliber of Dre Greenlaw, to a year-long injury, it kind of set the stage for us, because then we had the drama with Brandon Ayuk, and then we saw a couple of other players go down. This is a 2020 vibe for me, because we lost our first game in 2020, yes, and then we won 2 in a row. But if you remember then, when we went to play the New York Jets at MetLife Stadium, we lost 7 players to injury. We lost players to injury before the season even began, and that all began with Christian McCaffrey, losing him for the first 8-9 weeks of the season. We finally get him back, and it just seems like defenses have figured him out. We lost Trent. We didn't have Trent Williams yesterday, but when you don't have your key players, it is so tough to perform and continue to perform at a high level. The 49ers have done their best at next man up mentality. I mean, Jordan Mason had 145 against the Jets on opening night, but it's just been so many pieces we've had to plug and play due to injury. It's just been such a tough season for San Francisco.
So are you willing to just write this off as a blip, just a one-off? I mean, let's be honest. The Trent Williams thing wasn't good. The Ayuk thing wasn't good. So I'm just saying it would never just seem to be your year, but you're just going to scrap it and say it's one of those years? Or can you do that?
Yeah. You can scrap it and say it's one of those years. I mean, there's still a chance for the Niners to get into the playoffs, but A, they have to get healthy, and B, they have to run the table like they did 3 years ago to get into the playoffs. And yes, I can somewhat see that happening, but also somewhat I can see the Niners, playing this out like they did the 2020 season. Of course, COVID was going on at the time, but the Niners were still significantly beat up, like we are this year. And remember, for a couple of games, we didn't have George Kittle in the offense. So we've had pieces missing on our offense, which was second last year, and we're in the lower third of offense this year. The biggest problem that we've got to solve, 2 biggest problems we've got to solve. A, we got to get a better defensive coordinator, because Nick Sorensen is not it. And B, we've had so many problems in the red zone. And it's just so weird for me that I have, from what I've seen over the years and have covered over the years, to see the 49ers struggle this much in the red zone. That's the first problem they got to solve in the offseason.
Snowman, please finish this sentence. The Super Bowl will be blank against blank.
Kansas City against Philadelphia.
Dun, dun, dun. You're off the Lions bandwagon or what?
I'd love to see the Niners perform a miracle and come back and play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. No, it ain't. Not with as many injuries as we have to overcome.
Eagles are hot, though, my dude. And look at Nick Sirianni, torching his coordinators last year, pointing the finger at them. Maybe he was right.
Yep.
Doesn't hurt to have Saquon Barkley there either, potentially the best player in the NFL, let alone the best back. But are you saying it's not how you start, it's how you finish?
It's always how you finish in the NFL. I mean, Philadelphia got off to a slow start. Before the bye, they got blown out by Tampa Bay. Then Saquon Barkley found his footing. I mean, last night he torched the Rams for 255 yards, which is his career high. You go as far as Saquon Barkley carries you if you're Philadelphia, and if they're smart, they will build and run the offense through Saquon Barkley. I mean, why not? I mean, he just gave you 255 yards last night. Run the offense through him. You got your answer. If you're an Eagles fan, and I know plenty of them, and in a way I am one because I love watching how they have built their team, everything has to go through Saquon Barkley, and that's that.
Will there be a coach fired before the end of the year, or are we just waiting now for the bomb to go off in certain places?
There will be a couple of coaches fired before the end of the year. And we've already seen it with the coaches in New York. I think Gerard Mayo is sitting on the hot seat. In many ways, I'd like to say Kyle Shanahan is sitting on the hot seat, but Kyle Shanahan is not on the hot seat because you can't dictate injuries. You can't dictate when they happen. What I am going to say is that Nick Sorensen is on the hot seat because he was handed a top 5 defense and now it's in the dirt. So Frisco has to look for another defensive coordinator. I will say this. Matt Eberflus, or as we say on Snowman in the Morning, Matt Uberfools, is definitely roasted on the hot seat because you get the top pick in Caleb Williams. You get your franchise quarterback. Great. Here's the problem. You haven't fixed the offensive line around him, and I still stand by my words when I was on your show before. Wasted pick, wasted money.
I'm just saying, you got to decide, man, who you're going to point the finger at there in San Fran, the injuries or the defensive coordinator. I don't think you can have both.
Oh, no. They did They had a problem last year, and they brought in Steve Wilkes, and he righted the ship. They might bring him back. You could point the finger both places. Injuries are the overview of what has gone on this season. When you're missing your best players, it's going to put a dark cloud over your team. But there are 3 losses I can point to in San Francisco where they outsmarted themselves. Seattle, the Rams, and Arizona. They had a 10-point lead in all 3 of those games, and they choked them away. They have no business making the playoffs this year.
Let's not forget your coach blowing the overtime
Need a
rules
champion
in the Super
for
Bowl.
your charity event?
You
An
so
all-star for your
realize
seminar?
so.
How about
Yeah.
an Olympian
Oh, I
to give a winning
Exactly.
keynote
I'm
speech?
not-
All right.
EMJ Marketing
As
is
one
the
of my
place to
buddies
go.
says on my morning
EMJ
show,
Marketing
I'm a
is one
homer,
of Canada's
but I'm not
top
stupid.
speaker bureaus, with
I
some
know
of
what
Canada's
happened,
most
and I
recognizable
watched it
athletes
happen.
That's a
and
good one.
entertainers on their roster.
Yeah, we can get
EMJ
t-shirts
also
made that say
represents
that's
a wide
Snowman.
range of impactful
Okay.
keynote speakers and
step ahead,
MCs.
quick and
So whether
dirty.
you need
Ahead
to
of
fill
you.
a spot on
I'm
stage or someone to
creating those
arrange the
t-shirts
entire event,
already.
do it with one
Okay.
stop.
Sounds
EMJ
good, man.
Marketing.
Hey, quick and dirty
Take
as
the
always.
first step to
You be
success
good.
for your
Thanks
next
for the
event.
time.
Visit
Thank you, my friend.
emjmarketing.com.
I appreciate you. I love you very much. Thanks for having me.
Love you too, pal. The Snowman checking in from Indiana. We have a sports update and whatever you all would like to talk about next in viewer takeover. We got Dave Dawson coming up to talk NCAA Junior Hockey Wars in Hour 2. We're live here on Game Plus TV, live streaming on YouTube, and, of course, wherever you enjoy your podcast.